r/ask Reddit. What made you straight up nope out of a relationship? Showing up at my door when I hadn't disclosed my address. Edit. This seriously blew up. Thank you for the awards. I can't get to all the comments but I'm enjoying reading them all. For clarification, I'm a guy and we'd only just started dating. I'm very wary of giving out my address until I know who I'm dealing with. I don't want to end up with a stalker if things go sour. It happened anyway in this case. Happened to me as well. He showed up at 11 PM on a Saturday night unannounced. Freaked me out. Same here. We had only one date before. I did not tell him my exact address. He must have followed me after the date. Next day he showed up and stuttered how he felt that we had the connection and that I did send the ultimate signs. Yeah right. Creepy AF. Edit. Since a lot of people pointed out that he simply could have used Google to find my address. It's possible OFC but not the point. I didn't give him my full name or address for a reason because the date already was weird. Showing up at my door really scared me. After maybe 2 years of him constantly trying to make me jealous, we temporarily had a 16-hour time difference as I was traveling home to see my grandparents. When I was asleep for maybe 7 hours, because well, it was nighttime, and I had not responded to his 50 texts. He finally said he was going to spend time with other girls for 7 hours that day. BC that's how long I was probably going around spreading legs. LOLIDKY, but at that moment it was like a moment of clarity, and I just replied okay, blocked him, his family, and all his friends and just moved on. Edit. If you can't comprehend the 16-hour time difference, please just Google LA and Japan time difference. It's not that complicated. Good riddance. Indubitably. He was violent when angry, like crazy angry. What did me in was when he sped up on a dark county road and turned off the headlights. We survived and as soon as we got into town I got out of the car and relationship. Holy duck man. Glad hope you're okay. That sounds ducking horrifying. Why did he turn off the headlights? She started full on hitting me on day 3. I really wish I had left after the first time my wife punched me. Ended up having a planned child together. She went insane and I ended up with full custody. I'd do it again though, because my daughter is ducking autumn. My wife would punch me in the chest enough to leave bruises and shove me into walls if I got in her way around the house. Big red flag. Anyone who hits her so is a piece of shit. That's a fact. I had a very long and toxic relationship with an ex. I had wanted to leave for years, but he would threaten to kill himself and I would end up staying. I finally got the courage to walk away when I was diagnosed with several benign liver tumors and was told by the doctor that it was very important with this type of tumor to immediately and permanently stop taking hormonal birth control. I researched it on my own and confirmed the single most important thing I could do to avoid further complications was to stop taking hormonal birth control for good. I told my then husband about the appointment and he said, so calmly, well that's going to be a problem. I was like, what do you mean? I'll go to the gyno as soon as I can get an appointment and we can just use condoms until then. Nope. Condoms were unacceptable because we were married, and not having sex until I got to the gyno was also unacceptable. What really made my blood run cold though, was when he suggested that I should continue to take birth control as normal and just not tell the doctor. He'll never know, he said. Then he went on to suggest maybe I could go on and off birth control so I'd be off of it before any follow-up appointments with this doctor, to ensure that he'd never know. I was totally stunned and I just looked at him and said, you understand this could kill me? This isn't about placating a doctor. This is about my life. He just shrugged and said he wasn't using condoms and I needed to figure it out. I did figure it out. I left him more than a decade ago and have never been happier. I'll kill myself if you leave, but I don't care if you die. Anyone using this type manipulation never actually cared about that person. It was just about themselves. Followed me to a night out. Got on his knees stopping traffic in the middle of a city center street to declare his love. We had been on 2 dates. He also told me that same night he could see into the future and already knew he was going to die defending my honor while I was carrying our twins. Yeah, he was fun. This has got to be an anime plot. Narrator. Boyfriend San had the power of God and friendship on his side, confessing his undying love to you / what's name 235. She told me she was on birth control. Turns out she thought drinking a lot of Mountain Dew would make it so she couldn't get pregnant. Mountain Dew can for sure be effective birth control. She was just mistaken about how it works. I have so many questions. Married for 6 years. Started out thinking she just struggled with depression and anxiety sometimes, but things kept escalating. I walked away when she started threatening to stab me in my sleep. We had already tried several couples therapists and individual therapists, but she refused to consider medication. I called her to meet up and try to find some closure, but she cut me off telling me I wasn't allowed to leave her and as punishment she was sleeping with 2 other guys. At that point I just ignored her number and filed for divorce. Hope she's doing well, but glad to not be afraid for my life. Not wanting to be stabbed in your sleep equals reasonable boundary. Good decision. She wanted our relationship to be exclusive but secret. Oh boy, thanks for the flashbacks. My ex was in the closet, so in the 2 years we were together, I know, way longer than it should have lasted, I never met his family, most of his friends. He never met mine. We only hanged in my apartment. Never officially dated because he wanted me to have a 6-pack first, and even when he came out of the closet never mentioned me to his family. Broke up with me with a Facebook chat and then will still try to be with me and get mad if I was with someone else. I'm sorry. I cracked up and wanted me to have a 6-pack first. Glad you're out of there. We weren't in a relationship, but I had a developing thing with a guy once. Until one day when I wasn't around, he and some other friends of ours went to a bar and he sneakily slipped stronger alcohol into some other girl's drink there. This girl apparently was talking a lot with one of our other friends and not showing much attention to him. So he got jealous and threw this friend on the floor and started to strangle him. He was obviously thrown out of the bar after that and later tried to play it off as just a joke and just messing around. How do you jokingly try to strangle someone anyway? Anyway, I dropped this guy out of my life right after I found out. I definitely wouldn't want to be stuck with someone like that. You dodged a potential rapist. Congratulations. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had done similar or worse stuff before. Just yikes. 2 weeks after my mother died, he asked, "Is that still bothering you?" OMG. I had a big crush on this guy at work and my mom was very sick and passed very quickly without much notice. We had only learned she was sick about 6 weeks before she passed. At 69. Too young. But anyway, yeah, when I would talk about how hard it's been, he said I was being a buzzkill. Duck outta here with that. Not the same situation. But you just reminded me of one reason why I grey rock my parents now. A childhood friend of mine committed suicide while I was away at university. We were both 23 at the time. Her funeral was on a Friday. That Sunday, not 2 days later, I was still feeling pretty down when I Skyped my parents for our usual weekly chat. They couldn't seem to understand that I was still down about losing my friend, and kept asking things like, "Are you sure there's nothing else going on that you're sad about?" Like, no. I'm just sad my friend died. Is that not enough for you? My most recent ex would always ask me random questions. Like, what would you do if someone came running towards us right now? Bearing in mind that's pretty vague. I'd answer something like move out of their way so they can keep running, and she'd say wrong answer, then get mad at me because she meant to attack us and I didn't say I'd jump in her way to defend her. And she used to ask all different sorts of very vague questions, and when I'd answer she'd say wrong answer and get mad at me for not answering the way she wanted me to. Got out of there as quickly as I could. Edit. Thanks for the award. I've never had a post blow up this much. Shame it's on my throwaway. Would you still love me if I didn't exist? Wrong answer. You should be loyal to me at all times, but seriously, are actually lucky to escape such a relationship. To be fair, it was never that extreme. More things like, what would you do if someone was to crash into my car right now? What am I meant to say? Get out and beat the guy up? No, it could have been a mistake, so if I was to say make sure you're okay, she'd be like, wrong answer, you're meant to stand up for me. She picked me because I had the same first name, general appearance, and lived in the same area of the state as her ex-fiancé of 2 years. That she had just been dumped by a month before we met. I felt even more offended about all of that than just being straight up rejected. Next level rebound. I've unintentionally dated 4 guys from the same zip code and elementary school. I am not from that zip code. I did not meet these men at that zip code. 2 I met in 2 other separate states 5+ hours away. All 4 were different ages. Only 2 knew each other. 3 had the same first name. And 2 had the same middle name. This happened over the course of about 7 years. Still weirds me out. Got mad when I wouldn't come see her during a hurricane. Bye Felicia her real quick. I am a black person. My bestest buddy in the whole wide world is a white person. We were roomies at one point. He brought a date over. I met her. Nothing weird. But as it turned out, she had problem with my bromia living with a black person. Me. He immediately broke it off with her. I don't have many friends, but I'd like to think I got quality over quantity. Edit. It is sincerely heartwarming to see so many enjoy an anecdote of bromance triumphing over bigotry. This post just may be the leverage I need to convince my BFF to join Reddit. Thank you everyone. I love the term bromia, I am stealing it. What in the ducking duck? Bless your bromia because what in the duck by beach? I had a huge crush on her for a while but never had the opportunity to talk to her given our weird work schedules. Then a friend from work sets us up. I was elated. First date goes really well and we hit it off. We start spending as much time as we can around each other. Talking on the phone every night. All the special things you do when you're starting a new relationship. Then she starts coming over more often unannounced. She would say for a couple nights. Then a week. Then 2 weeks. I would come home from work and she would be in my house. Sometimes drunk. Thing was she had almost been fired for an incident involving alcohol before and was lying to them about her sobriety. She would have a few too many then go off about her family or how I wasn't taking our 2-month relationship serious enough. Final straw dropped on Valentine's Day this year. She gets annihilated to the point of not being able to walk on her own. After I refuse her drunk advances she flips out. What followed was a couple hours of her threatening to drive home drunk, sitting outside so the cold weather would freeze her to death, laying in my bed and wailing my name till hoarse, and alternating between manic laughter and crying. 2 days later, once she was sobered up, I told her to kick rocks. We dated for just around 3 months. Quickest turnaround ever for me in a relationship. Edit. As awesome horrifying as it would have been to have a horse in my bed, she did not transform. Her voice became hoarse. Sounds like some shit my buddy's ex-girlfriend would pull. We used to get a cabin every year out in Amish country and everyone would go out. This chick got pissed drunk every night and kept running around screaming, flirting with all the dudes while being a beach to her boyfriend, my friend. It was annoying and sad. Oh so and so. You're so funny. Hahaha. You're so funny. She would say to all the dudes and be touching their arms, legs, whatever. Then come bedtime and I hear screaming. I go out into the main room of the cabin and hear it's coming from their room. Friend and crazy GF. She's saying, Josh, you're so lame. You're not funny. X 4 inches literally just tearing down her boyfriend. One of my best friends. It was shit and I really disliked her after that. And I remember the weekend after the cabin we were bowling. Her and I were chatting over pics from the cabin on my phone. She scrolls and finds a picture that someone took and my ass is out. Because I was a drunk 19-year-old. She shrieks and smiles. I quickly try to grab my phone out of her hands. And she yanks it away. Only to lean in so she can really see the pic. Not in a funny way. Like she wanted to see my ass way. Ducking pisses me off just talking about it. She disrespected my friend on so many occasions. She was an alcoholic. Actually, I'm a horse. Second date. Context equals we'd known each other since we were kids. Flirted a lot over the years as casual friends. Not close friends. Just acquaintances. Then decided to try dating in our 20s. Him. Do you want to get married someday? Me. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not even sure if marriage is right for me. I kinda just want to travel and build a career and stuff. That's all I'm thinking about right now. Him. What about in 5 years time? Me. I don't know. Maybe. I mean if it's the right man. Maybe. Him. I've loved you ever since we were kids. Me. Thanks. Him. If we're together 5 years from now would you marry me? Me. I'm not really sure. Spoiler alert. At this point I'm desperate to run the duck away. Him. I'd hit a girl if she didn't marry me after 5 years. Like straight up beat her. Yep, bye bye to the friendship too. 4 years. 11 months, 30 days, 23 hours and 59 minutes later, with no wedding ring. Him, just staring at the clock and rubbing his knuckles. Him, I'd hit a girl if she didn't marry me after 5 years. Like straight up beat her. How did he think this line would clinch the deal? Not like you're not pretty, but you would be so much more attractive if you looked like, insert my baby sister's name. To which I said, you mean 15 years younger, and a minor, 6 feet, blonde, and a size 2? He said it in front of his friends, and everything went dead silent. His best friend punched his arm and told him he was being a dong. I got up and walked out. His sister called later to apologize for him being an a-hole, and told me his entire family was pissed at him. Worst part, he genuinely didn't think he did anything wrong. Frontal lobe went on full shutdown. Not the same but still involving younger sister, my ex, 19, almost 20 at the time, told me that my younger sister was going to be super attractive in a few years. At the time my sister was 7, so I DK what his definition of a few years is, but it's not enough. At time I had just turned 16 and the comment really helped put into perspective what was really going on. She talked a lot about hating guys being cheap on dates. First date I take her to a really good sushi place and spend like $120 cause I wanted to be nice. She said she would pay for us next time cause she was extremely flattered. Second date she chose the place and she took me to Ducking McDonald's. Open bracket. For context she isn't broke. Even paid at least triple of what I get. Like bro, I don't give a shit where you take me, but WTF man. Why set the bar so high only to immediately ignore it when you have to be even? For clarity, I wanted to go there already and it was more she wants expensive and I want an excuse to go here, so duck it, not that I wanted to meet her standards. LMAO. Your bar, not mine. You're totally expendable. He should have ordered 120 McChickens. Told everybody she knew about any little disagreement. Anytime I could be perceived unreasonable it was everyone's business. But somehow the surprises, special dates, lending her cousin rent money, all of that wasn't brought up. Just negative stuff was public knowledge. This was my ex-husband to a T. He would publicly humiliate me at every opportunity if I made a mistake or cost us money. But the fact that my parents bailed him out of every financial disaster he got into, or that I worked 3 jobs while going to school and raising our kids while he pissed money away on a business, wasn't up for discussion. Then when I stopped being a doormat for him, he asked me for a divorce. 1 year later and I don't have to worry about how I'm going to pay the bills, graduated, and have a nice house. I feel like a yoke was lifted from my shoulders. Don't you just love when the trash takes itself out? Genuinely feared for my safety. I went over and we got in an argument, so I slept on the floor essentially. I went to the bathroom to text one of my buddies to come pick me up since I thought she had fallen asleep. I suddenly get a text from her saying, "Where are you?" and my phone made a sound. I froze up and opened the bathroom door and she was already standing there waiting for me in the darkness. She didn't say a word at all, just stared at me until I walked by. I went back to my spot on the floor and got under the blanket and pretended to be going asleep until she did. After about 30 minutes I decided to peek out from under the covers and she was literally towering over me in total darkness with her eyes wide open the entire time. I got the duck out of there so fast. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.